Chosen one. Every lie they told about you has now become their own reality. They're crumbling under the weight of their deception, and divine law is making sure of it. You didn't find these words by accident. Something is shifting in the spiritual realm at this very moment, and it involves you directly. The rumors, the sabotage, the whispered poison, all of it has snapped back on the sender. Their actions weren't random but calculated to dismantle your confidence. Yet every trap has failed, every scheme reversed. This isn't mere karma, it's divine law in motion. The scales have tipped in your favor, and your truth is rising unstoppable. The way people were drawn to you was unbearable to witness. The way you moved through life with a quiet power that didn't need to be shouted from rooftops, ignored like a beast that can never be satisfied. So lies were told, your relationships were poisoned, doubt was planted in places where there should have been trust, walls were built where there were none, with hopes that you would crash into them and give up. Witnessing your downfall wasn't enough, the need was to architect it. In certain minds, if the narrative could be controlled, then destiny itself could be controlled. But what went ununderstood is that destiny doesn't bend to the will of those fueled by envy. Insecurity was a wildfire, burning uncontrollably, desperate to consume everything in its path. No matter how fierce, the fuel eventually runs out, and that moment is happening right now. The belief was that by dimming your light, another light could somehow shine brighter. But a light born out of malice and envy doesn't shine. It flickers weakly in the darkness, starved of the very source that sustains true brilliance. The attempts to control you were driven by deep-seated fear, fear that you would rise above, fear that you would expose inadequacies just by existing in your fullness. You were never the problem. You were the solution others could never find within themselves. The desire was to cage you, to trap you in the confines of limitations belonging to someone else, because seeing you soar was a reminder of clipped wings. In certain minds, it was easier to sabotage you than to face the harsh truth of personal failure, so the undermining began like termites gnawing at the foundation of a house that could never be built by those doing the gnawing. Lies were whispered behind closed doors, casting shadows where there should have been clarity, distorting reality to fit a false narrative. But watch what happens next, because the lies woven with such care have now become the very chains binding the weaver. Every word spoken to tarnish your name, every deceitful act orchestrated to break your spirit, is unraveling right now, wrapping around the source like a tightening noose. The thought was that fate could be altered, that tides of destiny could be turned by smearing your truth. But the lies scattered like seeds have taken root in the wrong soil, blooming into a poisonous garden that must now be harvested by the planter. The hardships wished upon you, the pain hoped you would endure, have returned tenfold to the source, because divine justice never forgets. What went ununderstood is that the universe is a mirror, reflecting every action back to its origin. When deceit was sown, an unstoppable chain of events was triggered, a divine boomerang that now returns with force. The thought was that consequences could be outrun, but there is no escape from violated spiritual laws. The energy sent out, filled with malice and spite, has circled back, knocking the wind from certain lungs. It clings now like a shadow that grows darker and more oppressive with each passing day, making it impossible to hide from the truth of actions taken. Your name was cursed with hopes that it would burn in the minds of others, but now different names carry the stench of betrayal. Attempts to isolate you have left certain people standing alone, cut off from the very circles once sought for manipulation. Rumors were spread with the precision of an archer aiming for a bullseye, with confidence that the target would be hit and you would crumble. Yet as the aim was taken, what went unrealized was that the arrow was curving in mid-air, destined to return and strike where the weakness is greatest. Financial stability, relationships, even peace of mind, all unraveling like frayed threads. Because no one can build success on the foundation of another's ruin. The ground once firm with the confidence of lies has begun to crumble. And this is just the beginning of the unraveling. Watch what happens to the so-called gifts. There are those who were once granted spiritual gifts, powers meant to uplift, to heal, to create light in a world often overshadowed by darkness. Individuals who had the ability to manifest abundance, who could see beyond the physical and tap into the realms of the unseen. But instead of using these gifts to elevate others, the twisting began, bending sacred abilities to harm, to control, and to tear down those like you, those chosen by God for a greater purpose. The downfall was inevitable, because when you misuse what is divine, it will eventually slip through your fingers like sand, leaving nothing but emptiness in its wake. You were the target of manipulations, selfish attempts to use gifts as weapons. The thought was that by channeling energy into blocking your path, what was divinely ordained for you could be stopped. But what went unrealized is that spiritual power is never meant to serve the ego. It's not a currency to be spent on petty vendettas, nor a tool for tearing down those who walk in the light. Every time gifts were harnessed to harm you, a sacred covenant was broken, an unwritten law that governs the spiritual realms was violated. The belief of invincibility may have been strong, but now the walls of false kingdoms are crumbling, and the gifts once wielded with arrogance are being stripped away, layer by layer. You see, spiritual gifts come with responsibility, a responsibility to act in alignment with the higher laws of the universe. When these gifts are misused, the offense isn't just against those targeted for harm. The offense is against the divine source itself, and the divine source does not forget. Individuals, in blindness, thought abilities could be used to alter your destiny, but all that was accomplished was altering personal destiny. The spiritual well once available for drinking has dried up. Where once there was abundance, now there is scarcity. Where there was clarity, now there is confusion. The connection to the divine, once so potent, now feels distant, like a fading echo in a vast empty canyon. Manifestation may have worked before, wealth, influence, control, but that ability is slipping away now, dissolving like a shadow under the midday sun. No longer can what is desired be summoned, because the very source of power has turned its back. But while gifts crumble to dust elsewhere, yours are only getting stronger, and that's not coincidence. If these words stirred your consciousness, hype this video to help more chosen ones awaken to this. You, the chosen, have walked through shadows that many would not dare enter. The trials you faced were not random. These were divinely placed obstacles, designed to forge you in fire, to mold your spirit into something far stronger than it once was. This path you walk is not one of ease, but one of immense growth, where every wound is a mark of transformation. The darkness you encountered was a crucible, a flame that seared your soul, but it was never meant to consume you. It was meant to burn away the impurities, the doubts and the fears that clouded your vision. You are now stepping into the light, a light that was always within you, waiting to be uncovered beneath the ashes. Healing is not optional on your path. It is a divine requirement. You cannot step into your true power while carrying the remnants of pain, betrayal, and suffering. Those scars, though having shaped you, cannot dictate your future. These are markers of where you've been, not where you are going. Every layer of healing you allow yourself to experience is like shedding an old skin, revealing a new, more resilient version of yourself. This is not the healing of surface wounds. It is deep, soul-level restoration that can only come when you confront the darkness head-on. You know this because you've already begun to feel the shift within you. Every time you release the weight of past hurts, you rise higher, closer to the person God intended you to be. The trials you faced were not meant to break you. Though limits of endurance were certainly tested, God allowed those moments of pain not out of cruelty, but out of love. Like gold refined in fire, you had to be tested so that you could emerge stronger, purer, and more aligned with your purpose. The suffering you endured is now the very thing that will elevate you. It has carved out spaces in your soul for greater blessings to take root. Each tear you shed watered the seeds of growth that are now starting to bloom. The darkness you passed through was not the end, but the necessary tunnel you had to cross to reach the light on the other side. And now God's wisdom surrounds you more intimately than ever before. God's presence has been with you all along, but now as the noise of pain fades, you hear it more clearly, like a quiet voice rising above the chaos. Your healing is not just for you, it is the key to unlocking the full range of your spiritual gifts. These gifts have always been within you, but were buried beneath the weight of past wounds, waiting for you to clear the debris. Now, as you heal, these gifts are awakening one by one. Your intuition sharpens, your ability to manifest increases. Your spiritual vision, once blurry, now becomes crystal clear. This is the divine reward for your endurance, for your willingness to face the darkness and come out the other side. God is not just restoring you, He is elevating you, bringing you into alignment with the full power you are always meant to wield. But this power is not for selfish gain, it is for divine purpose. You are called to be a light in a world that often prefers the darkness. Your healing has given you the strength to stand firm in your purpose, no matter the storms that may come. You are a beacon now, not just for yourself, but for others who are still trapped in their own shadows. Your wounds have become your wisdom, and that wisdom will guide others out of their own pain. This is the sacred exchange. You heal, and in doing so, you become a healer. You stand on a higher plane now, not because the world suddenly became fair, but because you chose to rise. Every trial, every betrayal, every lie spoken against you was meant to crush you under its weight. But instead you used each one to build a foundation stronger than the one before. Where others would have withered in the face of such adversity, you absorbed it, letting the hardship refine you like steel being forged in fire. You listened when the pain spoke. You learned when the world tried to deceive you, and you grew when everything around you wanted you to shrink. And this is where the real power shift happens, because while you were healing, something else was happening simultaneously. Elsewhere, a world was collapsing in real time. When you speak false words against someone protected by divine order, those words don't just disappear into the ether. These become living entities with their own energy signature. And that energy has to land somewhere. It has to manifest somewhere. When it can't attach to the person it was aimed at because of spiritual protection, it returns to the sender. But it doesn't return empty. It returns carrying the full weight of the intention behind it. Every ounce of malice, every drop of jealousy, every fragment of hatred, all of it comes back amplified. This is what's being experienced right now elsewhere. The lies told about your character are showing up in behaviors of the teller. The accusations made about your integrity are exposing lack of it in the accuser. Was the claim that you were untrustworthy? Watch how trust evaporates around the source. Was the suggestion that you were manipulative? Notice how manipulations are being exposed at the source. Was the accusation that you were using people? See how the real user is being revealed to everyone. The mirror is reflecting perfectly. What was projected onto you has become the lived experience of the projector, and it gets deeper. The specific scenarios fabricated about you are playing out in actual lives elsewhere. If lies were told about you stealing, watch resources disappear from the source. If rumors were spread about you being disloyal, see closest relationships fracture for the spreader. If accusations flew about you sabotaging others, witness how plans fall apart at crucial moments for the accuser. The universe is precise in its justice. This isn't coincidence. This is spiritual law executing with surgical precision. Detailed false narratives were created about your life, and those narratives have become the script for existence elsewhere. Every scene written for your downfall is now reality for the writer. Every consequence wished upon you is now daily experience for the wisher. The story forced onto you has wrapped around someone else like chains. You're watching the spiral while you're ascending. And here's something crucial you need to recognize. The crumbling happening elsewhere isn't occurring in isolation, it's happening in public. The same spaces where attempts were made to destroy your reputation are the exact spaces where true character is being revealed. The same people once turned against you are now seeing clearly. The same platforms used to spread lies are now broadcasting downfall. Divine justice doesn't just correct privately, it corrects visibly, because the damage done was public, the restoration you receive is public, the lies spread openly are being disproven openly, the relationships poisoned publicly are being healed publicly. Everything done in the light is being undone in the light, and everyone who witnessed the attack is witnessing the vindication. While exposure elsewhere is dramatic, your elevation is strategic. You're not being lifted up in obvious ways that draw the wrong kind of attention. You're being positioned in powerful ways that draw the right opportunities. Doors are opening that don't require public validation. Connections are forming that don't need social proof. Resources are flowing that don't demand explanation. God is moving you into rooms where access will never be granted elsewhere. Not because those rooms are better than other people, but because those spaces require the character you've developed, the integrity you maintained, the wisdom you gained, the strength you built, the grace you embodied. These rooms have standards, and you meet them. Now let's talk about what's happening with spiritual gifts, because this is where the shift becomes undeniable. Every chosen one carries gifts, abilities that go beyond the natural realm, intuition that borders on prophecy, manifestation power that seems to bend reality, healing presence that transforms atmospheres, creative force that births new realities. These gifts were placed in you before you took your first breath. You never weaponized your gifts. Even when you had every reason to strike back, you didn't use your spiritual abilities to harm. Even when you could have cursed back the way you were cursed, you chose restraint. Even when you had access to power that could have destroyed, you held back. Not because you were weak, because you understood that spiritual gifts are sacred trust. Others didn't have that understanding. Whatever abilities existed were turned into weapons. Spiritual sight was used to spy on your progress. Manifestation was twisted to block your opportunities. Healing gifts were corrupted to inflict wounds. Creative power was perverted to spread destructive narratives. Every gift accessible became a tool for harm. And the universe responded accordingly. When you misuse sacred gifts, you don't just lose them. Transfer happens. The spiritual authority once carried is being stripped and redistributed, and chosen one. Some of that redistributed power is landing in your lap. You're about to experience an amplification of your gifts that will shock you. That intuition you've always had, it's about to become so sharp you'll know things before occurrence. That manifestation ability that worked sometimes, it's about to work consistently and powerfully. That healing presence people felt around you, it's about to intensify to levels that transform entire rooms. That creative force you carry, it's about to birth solutions and innovations that shift culture, and the feeling is palpable elsewhere. The sensing of connection weakening, reaching for abilities that used to be there and finding nothing, trying to tap into power once accessed easily and hitting walls, attempting to manipulate energy the way it used to be done and discovering it no longer responds. Meanwhile, you're experiencing the opposite, abilities awakening, power flowing, energy responding, gifts activating. Let's go deeper into what the crumbling actually looks like on a practical level, because understanding this will help you recognize divine justice when you see it operating around you. The crumbling isn't always dramatic or obvious. Sometimes it's subtle, a slow erosion rather than a sudden collapse, but it's comprehensive, touching every area once used to damage you. Were lies told about your work ethic, watch productivity plummet elsewhere. Were claims made that you were lazy or incompetent, notice how performance is declining at the source. Projects once completed easily now drag on endlessly elsewhere. Tasks that were simple become overwhelming for others. Deadlines once met consistently now slip past. The competence taken for granted is evaporating, and people are starting to notice. were rumors spread about your relationships. See how connections are deteriorating for the spreader. Friendships once thought solid are revealing cracks. Partnerships believed secure are becoming unstable. Family bonds assumed unbreakable are straining under pressure. The relational health you maintained despite attacks stands in stark contrast to relational collapse happening elsewhere despite facade. Were attacks made on your financial situation? Watch money problems multiply for the attacker. Income streams that were reliable start drying up. Expenses unanticipated keep appearing. Investments made confidently turn sour. Opportunities for increase that used to appear now pass by. The financial stability mocked is crumbling elsewhere while your resources quietly multiply. Were questions raised about your mental or emotional stability? Notice how peace disintegrates elsewhere. Anxiety never experienced before becomes constant companion. Sleep that used to come easily now eludes. Stress once handled smoothly now overwhelms. The mental clarity weaponized against you has turned to fog elsewhere. The experiencing now is the very instability falsely attributed to you then. Divine justice doesn't miss a single detail. Every specific lie gets a specific consequence. Every particular accusation manifests as particular reality elsewhere. The precision is almost mathematical, and you need to recognize this pattern because it proves something crucial. This isn't random karma. This is targeted divine intervention on your behalf. Now here's where it gets really interesting. The people who believed lies are starting to wake up, not all at once, but one by one. Witnesses to your character assassination are having eyes opened, and it's happening in ways that leave no doubt about truth. Someone who sided against you suddenly sees lies about something else and realizes if lies were told about that, lies were probably told about you. Someone who believed narratives witnesses behavior and recognizes the same patterns described in you are actually patterns belonging to the describer. Someone who turned back on you based on false information receives new information that contradicts everything once told. Those who ghosted you based on lies are feeling conviction. Those who judged you based on rumors are experiencing regret. Those who abandoned you based on false accusations are recognizing mistake, and many want to reconnect, want to apologize, want to restore what was broken. How you handle that is your choice, but know this, the awakening of others is part of your vindication. Because here's what's crucial to understand. Your reputation isn't being restored by your efforts, it's being restored by divine orchestration. God is causing people to see truth without you having to prove anything. He's opening eyes without you having to argue your case. He's revealing your character without you having to defend it. The vindication is happening naturally, organically, powerfully. And the beautiful part, the same people who watched you get torn down are now watching you rise up. The same witnesses to your attack are becoming witnesses to your comeback. The same audience that saw lies spread are now seeing truth emerge. This full-circle vindication isn't just for you, it's for everyone who needs to see that truth eventually wins. But while crumbling is happening elsewhere under weight of lies in front of an audience, you're being given a choice about your next move. And this choice will define your legacy more than any attack ever could. When lies were spoken about you, what went unrealized was that prophecy was actually being spoken over different lives. Every word spoken carries creative power. Every declaration shapes reality. The thought was that you were being described, but actually the future was being decreed for the speaker. This is one of the most profound spiritual laws most people never grasp. Words are seeds. When you plant them with emotion and intention, growth happens, sprouting occurs, fruit is produced, but the fruit doesn't always grow where you think it will. When you speak false words against someone under divine protection, those seeds can't take root in that person's soil. So where do these seeds go? Back to the soil of the speaker, and growth happens there instead. Every lie told was a seed planted in wrong future. Every false accusation was a decree over wrong destiny. Every rumor spread was a prophecy about wrong path. The focus was so intense on trying to curse you that realization never came that personal curse was happening. This is why lives elsewhere now look exactly like the false narrative created about you. Think about the specific nature of lies told. If the claim was that you were broke, watch bank accounts drain elsewhere. If the assertion was that you were alone, see isolation increase for the asserter. If the accusation was that you were fake, notice how authenticity crumbles in the accuser. If the suggestion was that you were failing, watch failures multiply for the suggester. The words spoken against you became declarations over someone else. This isn't just poetic justice, this is the law of words in action. The universe doesn't differentiate between true and false declarations based on intent. Response comes to the energy and emotion behind words. When speaking about you happened with hatred, envy, and malice, powerful creative energy was released. That energy had to manifest somewhere. Since it couldn't touch you through your spiritual covering, manifestation happened elsewhere instead. While negative declarations are manifesting elsewhere, every true thing spoken about you is also manifesting. Every person who saw your real character and spoke well of you released blessing over your life. Every individual who recognized your gifts and declared them activated increase in your sphere. Every soul who witnessed your integrity and testified to it established favor in your path. You're experiencing double manifestation. False words about you are becoming true elsewhere. True words about you are becoming amplified in you. This is divine mathematics at its finest. Subtraction elsewhere. Multiplication to you. Decrease in one camp. Increase in yours. Loss on one side. Gain on yours. All simultaneously. All precisely, all purposefully. When someone attacks a chosen one, consequences don't stop with personal impact. There's a ripple effect that touches everything connected. This is why you're seeing crumbling affect multiple areas simultaneously elsewhere. Actions taken triggered spiritual laws that impact entire spheres of influence. Think about the trajectory that existed before coming against you. Momentum was there, potential was there, possibilities were opening up. But when the choice was made to attack you, an unknowing step was taken off destined path and onto a road that leads nowhere. Every step taken now leads further from where the destination was supposed to be. And the tragedy is, full realization hasn't come yet of what was lost. The focus is so intense on immediate crumbling that future blessings cancelled can't be seen. The relationships that would have been life-changing that will never form. The opportunities that would have been breakthrough moments that will never arrive, the ideas that would have been revolutionary that will never download, the destiny that was available that is no longer accessible. This is the hidden cost of coming against a chosen one. It's not just about present consequences, it's about future forfeiture. Tomorrow was traded for a momentary attempt to destroy your today. And that's a transaction that can never be reversed. Your response to downfall happening elsewhere will determine your next level. This is a test within the test. How you handle crumbling elsewhere reveals whether you truly understood the lessons from your own crucible, because chosen ones aren't just called to overcome adversity. The calling is to transcend it completely. You could choose to publicize the fall. You could blast hypocrisy on every platform. You could gather everyone who doubted you and declare validation. You could revel in suffering elsewhere, the way reveling happened in your pain. You have every human right to feel vindicated and want everyone to know it. But that's not the path of the chosen. That's the path of the wounded, who haven't fully healed. True power is silent. Real strength doesn't need validation. Genuine victory doesn't require an audience. The fact that you know what's happening is enough. The fact that God knows is sufficient. The fact that spiritual laws are operating in your favor is complete. You don't need anyone else's acknowledgement to make your vindication real. This is where you prove difference. Noise needed to be made elsewhere about your supposed failures. An audience was required for your alleged downfall. Public validation of lies was craved. But you can win quietly. You can rise silently. You can succeed privately. And that quiet confidence is more powerful than any public declaration. Let the crumbling happen without your commentary. Let lies unravel without your input. Let divine justice complete its work without your interference. Your silence in this moment is more eloquent than any words you could speak. Your grace right now is more powerful than any revenge you could plot. Your peace while chaos reigns elsewhere is the ultimate proof of who really won. Because here's what happens when you take the higher road. You stay in alignment with divine flow. You maintain your connection to source. You keep your gifts active and amplified. You preserve your access to favor. You protect your spiritual covering. Gloating or celebrating would put you on wrong level. Staying elevated keeps you in position for greater blessings, and those blessings are about to manifest in ways that will surpass anything you've imagined, but only if you keep your heart clean, only if you refuse to let bitterness take root, only if you choose grace over grudges, only if you walk in love even when hate would be understandable. This is the final test before your breakthrough. I must interrupt this transmission for just a moment. Are you really chosen? Prove it. It's easy to watch videos about chosen ones. It's another thing to put yourself to the test. If you're still here, that means something. But talk is cheap. Real chosen ones take action. That's why I built Destiny Engine. It generates personalized sequences that help you rewire betrayal into transcendence, turn isolation into sacred power, and transform their downfall into your rise. We are using the Dark Elite's own weapons against them, taking their declassified consciousness technology that programmed competition and scarcity and repurposing it to serve divine justice. The beauty is, you don't even have to lift a finger. You put on the headphones, press play, and watch your enemies choke on the rope their own lies created. If you're done consuming and ready to prove you're chosen, start your Destiny Engine for $1 today. Join the Obsidian Inner Order live checks and watch divine justice accelerate in your life. Link in the description. So, chosen one, stand tall in this moment. You didn't just survive what was meant to destroy you. You dominated it. You didn't just overcome what was designed to finish you. You conquered it. You didn't just outlast what was intended to break you. You crushed it. You didn't just thrive despite everything done to stop you. You exploded past every limitation anyone tried to impose. You're untouchable now. Not because nothing can hurt you, but because you know who you are. You know whose you are. You know why you're here. And that knowledge is the greatest protection. That certainty is the strongest armor. That confidence is the most powerful weapon. Someone who knows their identity can't be defeated. Someone anchored in divine purpose can't be destroyed. Someone backed by divine power can't be stopped. Welcome to your new reality. Welcome to your elevated state. Welcome to your promised season. The blessings waiting for you are beyond your current imagination. The opportunities preparing for you exceed your present expectations. The connections forming for you surpass your existing network. The impact you're about to make will echo far beyond your lifetime. Now go claim it all. Every blessing, every opportunity, every connection, every promise, every dream, every vision, every hope, it's all yours. You've paid the price through your perseverance. You've earned the right through your resilience. You've qualified for the reward through your faithfulness. And nobody, absolutely nobody, can take it from you. You are chosen. You are protected. You are guided. You are favored. You are unstoppable. That's not arrogance. That's truth. That's not pride. That's fact. That's not ego, that's identity. You are a chosen one. Now act like it. Dominate your destiny. Own your power. Claim your throne. Walk into rooms with authority. Speak with confidence. Move with purpose. Create with abandon. Love without fear. Give without hesitation. Receive without guilt. Celebrate without apology. Exist without explanation. And the crumbling happening elsewhere under the weight of lies is simply the final confirmation that you were right all along. You were never what was said about you. You were always what God said you were. And now everyone gets to see the difference between human accusations and divine declarations, between earthly judgments and heavenly verdicts, between temporary attacks and eternal purpose. Now go show the world what a chosen one looks like when apologies stop for gifts and activation begins. When shrinking stops from calling and stepping in starts. When questioning stops about worth and claiming begins of value. When doubting stops about power and wielding starts. When hiding stops of light and shining begins. You are chosen. You are covered. You are commissioned. You are equipped. You are empowered. You are elevated. You are unstoppable. Lies elsewhere proved it. Crumbling elsewhere confirmed it. Your rising sealed it. Now walk in it fully, boldly, unapologetically. The world needs what you carry. Don't make anyone wait any longer.